So I recently looked at two bags, one that was full of Richardmilles and another one that had every single AP that you can imagine. I think it had really most of them. Today we're going to go over some of the Richardmilles that I've singled out of the bag, but there is also something that's been on my mind, that's been on my chest that I do want to bring out and I want to share it with you guys. And it's to do with some of those videos basically that you see in different social media streams that are absolutely killing the watch collecting hobby. I mean, you know what type of videos I'm talking about. I'm referring to the ones where they absolutely murder the hobby by just really focusing on the money value, the money trade aspect of the watch, and nothing else that's to do with the level of craftsmanship or how amazing these timepieces are, that are absolutely hyping out the prices even more for you and I as collectors to even go buy them from the secondary market should you not be successful at retail. So I do want to dedicate one part of this video to remind us basically that these are luxury items, these are personal items, and these most importantly are items that brings us joy. You mark basically a significant milestone in your life or achievement or an occasion even for that sake by buying a very beautiful well-made watch, get you to remember that specific instant in your life. Also brings you closer to other watch collectors, similar like-minded people, where you learn about their acquisition stories and what do these watches mean to them. That is also part of the journey that brings joy to you. For me personally, I enjoy listening to some of these acquisition stories. I find it fun. So this video is twofold. We'll cover some of the amazing Richardmilles that I've singled out of that bag, but also I want to talk about 8 facts and watch collecting etiquettes. Let's get into it. What is up guys, it is your boy Rida. Now the first etiquette, watch collecting etiquette that I want to talk about is, you know, when you see someone with an interesting watch, whether it be at a street or at a get-together, watch get-together that is, you know, you want to strike up that conversation and you want to ask them basically, what is this watch and, you know, how do you feel about it? But the other day I was at the mall with my family in broad daylight and this guy just ran up to me and said, "This is a crazy 11-6500 Elen Daytona. I've been trying to get this watch for all my life. I can't get it. I wish I have it." I hear you. I know the pain, but it did come across a little bit weird. So instead of just ambushing someone, I would say ease into the conversation. So try something like, "Hey, that's a very nice watch," followed by something a little bit more specific. This is what I would do. Guys, look at this ridiculous bag. It's full of RMs, like all sort of RMs. Okay, I'm gonna start off, of course, with my favorite. This is the only RM I really like, which is the RM67-01 in titanium. The first time I looked at this watch, it was about 3 years ago, and the retail for it was something like 280,000 dirhams. It is now 400,000 dirhams, and that is the retail price actually. So we're not even talking about aftermarket prices here. This is the RM67-01. But this is where I can say in a thin profile case, they were able to master the art of playing with depth in such a thin case. This is a watch that I truly love and enjoy. Now back to the second etiquette is that ask before you touch. So of course it's a very nice experience that you want to try all sorts of watches firsthand. This is something that I would personally enjoy as well, but try to seek permission first before you just go grabbing someone's watch. Treat people's watches respectfully. The last thing you want to do is basically have this person be suspicious of a total stranger that is interested in his watch, wants to grab it, especially if it's expensive, right? So what I would say is ask before you touch. That's just a nicer way to go about it. Here, there is the Vanniekerk RM67-02, which is also a thin case. We've actually got them here in 2 different colors. So these are the 2, actually 3 colors. What am I talking about? We've got them in 3 different colors. Look at that. This is the 67-02. This is the Vanniekerk. And the strap, I mean, you're paying 600,000 dirhams at retail price for a strap that is an elastic rubber strap, literally. It's like the same thing you've got on your boxers, which is hilarious. This is RM's way of telling you basically we don't care, but if you put it on the wrist, yeah, so it's the same thinness as the RM67-02. So you've got 01 and this is 02. We've we've got them in different colors. So this is the green. These are all separate watches, obviously all different watches that come this way. I know you can change the strap. The case is fixed, obviously. So this is the white case one, and a red case, this maroonish case, which is amazing. It's just beautiful. Now, number 3 is be nice. If you had spent a lot of time online criticizing watches, well, this is the real world. If someone is nice enough to lend you his or her watch, their beloved watch that reflects their personality, don't criticize it. So if the date is at 4:30, you don't want to go bashing this dial just because the date is at 4:30. It clearly reflects their personality, they're wearing it, and if you give them the opportunity to maybe speak to you and tell you their side of the story about why they went for such a watch, maybe it can open your eyes and it can get you to appreciate this watch. So the point taken here is be nice. Don't criticize someone's personal watch right in front of his face, especially if you don't know that person. But if I were to consider a little bit thicker cases, you cannot deny this beauty, which is the RM11. I think this is even in carbon TPT, right? This is in carbon TPT because, I mean, it's thick, but it's like pitch black. This is the RM11 Formula 1, actually. Number 4 is that don't blurt out straight away how much did you pay for this watch, or why did you pay this much for this watch. I mean, I find that a very rude question, especially with someone that I don't know. That should not be the focus of the conversation. It should not be the anchor of this discussion that you're having with this guy. Some would want to tell you how much they paid, and some are just very cautious about that. So I wouldn't look at, you know, asking how much did you pay for this watch if I didn't get this vibe from this person, or makes me at least think that I can ask this question, right? Unless, of course, it's something like a Jacob & Co, then whatever they paid is really not worth it. So yeah, I mean, that's just me squeezing it out there. But generally, the takeaway here is that just don't ask about the cost unless they want to tell you how much is this watch, for example. So we've got the cross-gen, the Lotus here, which is forged carbon case. Flyback chronograph, of course. And then we've got here the RM11, which is the same one we've looked at here, except that this is obviously in a rose gold case. So the value of the watches that are over here are literally over 15 million dirhams. I'll pop in the US equivalent of it on the screen, but this is ridiculous. This is insane. So number 5, this is between collectors. I have a collection, you have a collection. Of course, I would be interested in showing you my collection, but also looking at your collection. But it shouldn't be a competition. It shouldn't be that, you know, you've got a better, bigger collection, so I need to go compete with that and get much more desirable watches. It's not about you having a Nautilus, a Patek Philippe Nautilus, so I need to go and get a much more complicated Nautilus. That's not what it's about, and it shouldn't be about that at all. In fact, every watch has its own story. You picked it for a reason that you know that means something to you. Every watch is special in its own way. So remember, it's not a competition. This collection is going to one person. Is it? One person's collection who gave us the opportunity to look at it. I don't know what you got to do in life to own all of these RMs. All these watches are amazing. Number 6, monetary value shouldn't be the main factor that dictates whether you go buy this watch or not. But it's important, and I'll explain to you. Money is important to me. I know that I would go buy 2 to 3 watches that I really like, that I enjoy, regardless whether they hold value or not. Call them my main watches, enjoy them every single day, and the thought of selling them will never cross my mind. But on the other hand, anything over the 2 to 3 main watches, to me personally, is excessive. And the thought of whether this watch that I am going to buy will hold monetary value or not will surely cross my mind. If the answer is yes, can I trade up, for example, 2 of these steel Submariners to get a 4749 weekly calendar or a nice Calatrava from Patek Philippe? If the answer is yes, if I will end up spending less considering I'm trading up at market value, then surely I would go pick it up, and I think that's actually a smart strategy to go about it. You spend less, but then you end up getting the one that you really want, so I completely support that. But if the answer is no, then I'll skip it altogether. 2 to 3 watches, my main watches, anything post that is where monetary value retention is important for me. We're going to be looking at some APs here. As you guys know, I own the stainless steel version of this 15500. This is the rose gold version of it, where you just can't go wrong with this watch. Speaking of trading watches and adding the difference to get the one that you really want does not make you a dealer or a flipper. Buying solely, however, for the purpose of selling immediately and banking this profit would surely make you a flipper. And then of course, we move on to one of the most impossible APs to get, which is basically the Perpetual calendar in black ceramic. I mean, this is next level. This is not something you, yeah. I mean, I think the value of this is over $1 million dirham on its own, right? Now, lastly, at number 8, and this is maybe not applicable to every single gray market dealer. Some are just an ocean of knowledge in terms of which watches to buy, but the majority this is applicable to. I wouldn't reach out to a gray market dealer about advice on which watch to buy, which brand should I go for, because gray market dealers that glorify buying and selling and the like activities don't really see watches. They just see numbers and they don't really appreciate watches. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't go and establish a trusted relationship with 1 or 2 gray market dealers. I did. I think their existence is important, especially if you're looking for like a discontinued watch that you know you're not going to get it at retail no matter what because it's simply discontinued. Then of course, the only place where you can source this watch is this trusted gray market dealer. But on the other hand, what I'm saying is that I would reach them specifically with something that I've already narrowed down. I know which brand, I know which model range, I know which watch exactly, and it just becomes a cost discussion of what is the minimum price that I can pay you to get this watch in a very, very good condition with box and papers. And don't let these things fool you about, you know, the documents are not important. To me, papers are important. I will always make sure the papers are there. I mean, of course, there's so many ways to check the authenticity of this watch, but for me, having the papers, especially if it's a vintage model, is that extra layer, that extra peace of mind that I can have on top. So to me, this is very important. I know there's a lot of videos online talking about watch advices coming from gray market dealers, but this is not something I would put them on liberty about, because at the end of the day, as I said, they're a business. Business comes first, and no matter what way they put this advice through to you, business will lead, so it's not really genuine. That brings us to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed watching, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.